Imagine, August 1944. Allied armies have broken through the German defenses in Normandy and are racing east across France. Patton's tanks surge forward. Infantry advances, and suddenly, the momentum slows. Not because of enemy fire, because of fuel. That's when thousands of simple cargo trucks roll onto the roads. 6 wheels, wooden beds, no armor, no glamour, but day and night, they haul fuel, ammunition, and food across shattered French highways. The soldiers had a simple name for it, Jimmy, the GMC CCKW, 2.5 tons that kept the war moving. But this story began long before the United States entered the war. In the late 1930s, the U.S. Army came to a clear conclusion. The next war would be a war of speed and supply. What it needed was a single standardized truck. 3 axles, all-wheel drive, capable of carrying 2.5 tons across mud, sand, and broken roads. General Motors didn't start from scratch. Instead, its engineers took a proven civilian GMC platform, reinforced the frame, added a second rear axle, and converted it into a 6x6 configuration. By 1941, the result carried a simple factory code, CCKW. The name wasn't meant to be memorable, it was internal classification. C stood for the 1941 model year. C for a conventional cab design. K indicated a driven front axle, all-wheel drive. W meant dual rear driving axles. Behind that dry code was a powerful idea, standardization. The first production trucks rolled off the line at Yellow Truck and Coach in Pontiac, Michigan in 1941. Soon, production expanded to additional plants as demand surged. The truck came in 2 main versions. The short wheelbase CCKW 352, often used to tow artillery pieces, and the longer CCKW 353, the primary cargo version that would become the backbone of American logistics. That's how Jimmy was born. Not to win battles, but to make sure they never stopped. At the heart of Jimmy was a gasoline-powered inline 6-cylinder GMC 270 engine, displacing 4.4 liters. Output was around 90 to 100 horsepower, more than enough for a wartime cargo truck. With roughly 290 newton-meters of torque, it could pull steadily even across deep mud and rough terrain. A 5-speed manual transmission paired with a 2-speed transfer case allowed drivers to select the right setup for highway driving or off-road conditions. The 6x6 drivetrain provided traction where other trucks simply bogged down. Official payload capacity was 2.5 tons off-road. Fully loaded, the truck weighed over 7 tons. On paved roads, the CCKW could reach speeds of about 70 kilometers per hour, roughly 45 miles per hour, with a driving range of up to 480 kilometers, or about 300 miles. But its greatest strength was simplicity. The engine was based on commercial design, components were familiar to mechanics, and repairs could be carried out in the field with basic tools. Early production models featured a fully enclosed steel cab. Beginning in 1943, the design was simplified. Canvas roofs and doors reduced steel consumption and sped up production. Some trucks were fitted with a ring mount for a .50 caliber Browning M2 machine gun. The Jimmy was not a frontline combat vehicle, but it could help defend a convoy when necessary. The true strength of Jimmy wasn't just in its design, it was in its numbers. Between 1941 and 1945, more than 560,000 GMC CCKWs were built. It became one of the most widely produced military vehicles of the Second World War, second only to the Jeep. At peak production, factories were turning out over 10,000 trucks a month. The assembly lines never stopped, and each new vehicle rolled straight from the plant to the front. One chassis, dozens of rolls, cargo trucks, fuel tankers, workshops, field kitchens. Standardization meant speed in manufacturing and in war. And in 1944, that scale made all the difference. August 1944. After breaking out of Normandy, the Allied armies were advancing so quickly that only one enemy could stop them: logistics. That's when the Red Ball Express was created, a special high-priority convoy system that became the lifeline of the advancing forces. especially General Patton's troops. Thousands of GMC CCKWs operated around the clock, covering hundreds of miles along dedicated routes. Most of the drivers were African American soldiers. In a segregated army, they were rarely assigned to combat units, yet they were entrusted with something just as critical, keeping the front moving. They worked 16 to 20 hours a day. At night, they drove without headlights, under the constant threat of enemy air attacks. At its peak, the convoys delivered more than 12,000 tons of supplies every single day. Without those trucks, the advance would have stalled. With them, it kept moving. Jimmy didn't fight only with American forces. Through the Lend-Lease program, these trucks were supplied to allied nations around the world, including Great Britain, France, and others. And it also had a brother, another legend, the DUKW amphibious truck, built on the same chassis, the same engine, the same transmission, but a completely different body, watertight, fitted with a propeller and rudder, capable of swimming. DUKWs landed troops in Normandy, crossed rivers across Europe, and carried supplies directly from ships to the shore. Once again, it proved that the Jimmy platform was so well designed that it became the foundation for an entirely different machine. After 1945, Jimmy did not disappear. It was gradually replaced by the new M35 series, but many trucks remained in service until the mid-1960s. Some countries continued operating them for decades. They no longer carried the front line. They helped build peace. Today, well-preserved CCKWs can be seen in museums and private collections around the world. The GMC CCKW was more than just a truck. It didn't look like a hero. But without it, there would have been no forward movement. Sometimes victory is delivered not by those who fire, but by those who haul. And Jimmy kept driving. And that was enough. And this is just one of the machines that moved history forward. There are many more stories like this to come.